Luxeley here, welcoming everyone and everybody to the land of bots. That's right. WoW PvP Battlegrounds in Warlords, it's bots. BGs used to stand for Battlegrounds. Now they stand for Bots Galore. I'm going to point out why this is a really bad thing. I've seen a lot of videos. Zyback made a video, a few other people made videos about the recent surge of bots in Warlords PvP, in particularly Battlegrounds. But none of them really said why it's a bad thing. They're just like, oh, look at the bot, look at the bot. Who cares? This is why I'm going to tell you exactly why, in detail, in specific points, why it's a bad thing. Because if I knock on Swifty's door, or I knock on Soda, wait, Soda doesn't play WoW. If I knock on Hotted's door, or I knock on Bajira's door and I say, guys, we've got to do something about the bots. A, they're not going to answer. B, they don't care. They don't care because they're skill players, they're high-level players, they're focusing on Arena 3s, maybe running subs and friends through 2's, and probably RBGs on occasion. Why should they care about BGs? Well, I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to give you a few reasons why it's important that this gets freaking fixed, and fixed very soon. I'm not going to rattle off these points in any particular order. I'll let you decide which ones you agree with, which ones you disagree with, which ones are most relevant, which ones are irrelevant. Because in the future, if I decide to revisit this topic, your comments will make for a more in-depth and more interesting video on bots. The first point I want to make is the old cliche, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, I'm not saying that that we can't beat bots, because if you can't beat a bot 1v1 in PvP, I got news for you. PvP is not for you. You should raid, you should do pet battles, just forget the botting career, forget the the PvP career. It's not happening for you. What I'm trying to say is people are getting away with it. Back in Kata, when I was part of a PvP guild, and we used to RBG 3 nights a week on our mains, on our alts, we used to do arena, we used to do a lot of BGs. And late at night in a Warsong Gulch, we would see one or two bots go from the Alliance base on their sparkly pony to the Horde base. And then they get on their sparkly pony again, and they go from the Horde base to the Alliance base, the Alliance base to the Horde base, rinse and repeat until something interrupts them. Or you just see somebody running into a wall for like, 10 minutes or so. Hey, they're bots. I get it. Okay. It was more the exception than the norm. That was 4 years ago. Now, it's more the norm than the exception. And other players are seeing that they can get away with it. And maybe Blizzard has lost some of their ability to police the game. Because if you were botting back in Kata, or you were botting back in Mop, or Lich King, or whatever, and you got your account taken away, guess what? You had to buy a whole new account. And you had to level from 1 to 80, or 1 to 85, or 1 to 90, and that freaking sucked. But guess what? You don't have to do that anymore, because, yeah, you still have to buy the game, but you get an instant 90 when you buy Warlords, so it's not as bad. Yes, you lose your gold. Yes, you lose your achievements. Yes, you lose your alts. Yes, you lose your mounts. Yes, you lose a gear tune. But for some people, it's worth the risk. I don't see how it is, but for some people it is, because it's become the norm, not the exception. And people are seeing this, and they're saying, hey, I'm an idiot. I don't have to sit here and grind BGs to gear up. I could have a bot do that for me. I don't have to sit here and grind things to get gold. I could have a bot do that by getting pieces of gear that I can sell, or getting pieces of gear that I could disenchant. That's what's going on in people's minds, and that's why you're seeing more and more bots in the game. My second point is, how could this possibly be fun? How could PvP possibly be fun for the new player? Or the seasoned player who's raided for 3 or 4 years and says, hey, one day, I'd like to try PvP, and I think that day is today. How is it possibly fun for them? They're probably, in some cases, facing a pre-made, which is a whole other ball of wax, or they're on a team with a bunch of bots. They might not realize that they're bots, but there's no possible way that they could say, wow, this is fun. I love getting killed 8 or 9 times, and I love it when the Horde camp the graveyard, and I constantly die. I should do this more often. This is great. I love this. Nobody says that. And the new player or the seasoned raider probably doesn't just venture straight into Arena, unless he's got some kind of connection or has a lot of gold and can pay for carries. It's not happening. The overwhelming majority of people's first experience in PvP is regular BGs. Whether you're a new player, seasoned player, that's generally the route that you go. And you're not getting into RBGs, walking in and you're questing blues and greens. Not even a YOLO BG, RBG is going to take you. It's not happening. So your first impression is regular BGs. And regular BGs is bots versus bots. It's pre-mades versus pre-mades. It's ridiculous. It is just terrible. And this is a bad thing because the new player has it bad entering in the BG for the first time as is. Whether he's been raiding or he just finished questing, ding, level 100, let me PvP. I've been dying to do this at max level. Regardless of what it is that he just came from, that part of the game certainly moved a lot slower. That part of the game was a lot easier to process and a lot quicker to process than regular Battlegrounds in PvP. So from that standpoint, they're kind of like that hotshot superstar college quarterback coming into the pros and getting his teeth kicked in because things move a lot faster. More things are happening. You have to be more aware of certain things. You have to premeditate certain things. You have to be quick and almost to the point that you're not thinking. And that in itself is hard. I remember going into Warsong Gulch for the first time, and I had no clue what the objectives were. I had no clue what to do. I had no clue where to be. I had no clue at all. What I did was I just followed some guy. And that guy was following somebody else. And that person was probably a bot. So, I mean, my point is that the game just moves so much faster from what you were previously doing. The same can be said stepping up your game from BGs to Arena or to RBGs. Even that moves significantly faster. You don't even have time to process information, process the situation. You just pretty much have to premeditate what you're going to do in each situation. Paladin bubbles, I'm a priest. If I can, gonna mass dispel it, take it down. If not, just wait it out. These are things that you just are programmed into you. And the new player doesn't have that programming. The new player doesn't have that programming on the most basic level in knowing the objectives and knowing where to be and what to do and just overall being aware. And to be on a team with a bunch of bots, which probably don't even realize they're bots, there's just no way they could look at that and say, wow, this is fun. I have to continue doing this. It's not happening. Which leads me to my final point, esports. Blizzard, WoW as an esport, laughter from the crowd, no doubt. Because a lot of things need to change in WoW for it to be a genuine, acceptable esport. There's a reason why League of Legends has 60 million players, why League of Legends is raking in astronomical advertising dollars from their tournaments. Spin the clock back 5 years ago, I think you got maybe $11,000 for winning the League of Legends tournament. Now, it's close to 3 million. Does that kind of give you an idea how much esports is growing? How big esports is? It's growing faster than the film industry and the music industry combined. And it's just missing one component. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'll give you 2 examples. The NFL. Back in the 60s, the NFL kind of had a rebirth. I mean, the NFL had been around for, 30, 40 years already, but it never really caught on like baseball did. And a company called NFL started making highlight reels of NFL games. And they were showing them in colleges, and they were showing them in high schools. And somehow, some way, they said, hey, let's show this on TV. And it became so big that the NFL was able to get lucrative network deals with major TV networks. And that is what spawned their growth. The NFL is the largest sports organization in the world next to FIFA. That is a fact. And it is growing hugely, exponentially. I mean, the Super Bowl is a worldwide event in countries that don't even know what football is. They don't even know what a quarterback is. They don't know what a running back is. They have no clue. Just like Super Bowl. Just gotta watch it for whatever reason. Maybe the halftime show, maybe the ads, who knows. But it's become a phenomenon. Poker has been around for years. Never quite a socially accepted sport. Never quite there. Been around for years, but no one ever accepted it as a sport. Bowling was accepted as a sport. Auto racing was accepted as a sport. For God's sakes, golf was accepted as a sport, but not poker. Then they came up with something in the early 2000s, something called the whole card cam, which revolutionized the way they covered poker on TV. And poker just became such a huge phenomenon. They were selling games online. They were playing games online. They started to prop up poker tournaments in other casinos that weren't in AC and weren't in Vegas. It was just growing hugely. Because at the same time, not only did the whole card cam revolutionize poker, but all these Indian casinos that were getting their rights to make their own casino and host their own poker tournaments were also getting on the map at the same time. So poker became huge. Granted, poker's not quite as huge as it used to be, but it's now a recognized sport as opposed to where it was, say, 25 years ago. And it certainly has a greater following today than it did 25 years ago. Significantly greater following. That's what esports is missing to really put itself on the map. I don't know what that would be, but something, combination of maybe someone making it entertaining to watch from a highlight perspective like they did with NFL films, or just entertaining to watch from a different perspective like they did with the whole card cam. That's what's missing. And my theory is that Blizzard is thinking to themselves, let's see if Overwatch can be a bona fide esport. Let's see if Heroes of the Storm makes it as an esport. Because then we don't have to touch our beloved WoW and kind of mess with it. We don't have to tweak it. We don't have to do anything. And I guarantee you, if those two games fail to make the esports arena, there's going to be major changes in WoW. Huge changes in WoW to the point you're not even going to recognize the PvP, and that is going to be the stage for esports. But my point is, and I'm going to leave you with this thought, Meyer Lansky, gangster from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, etc., etc., he once said that in order for a casino to succeed and grow, the players have to go in and believe the game is fair. They have to go in and they have to believe that they have a shot to win. Because if they don't, the casino loses its credibility, the casino's reputation is really bad, and they shut down, they have no business. Same thing when online poker kicked in. Because if it was a cheat, no one would play poker on that site anymore. You had to maintain the integrity of the game. You had to maintain the fairness of the game. And with bots running rampant like they do at the most basic level, WoW's going to be an oversight when it comes to PvP. WoW's going to be an oversight when it comes to esports. And if they don't do something about the bots, those bots are going to run rampant in Heroes of the Storm, and those bots are going to run rampant in Overwatch. They have to change their policy. They have to change the way they police things, because this is getting ridiculous. It's not fair, it's not fun, and it's certainly not competitive. Let me know your thoughts. This is Luxeley saying, whatever it is by you, morning, afternoon, or night, get on your bot and make it great. Luxeley out.